Revelation Unraveled, Part 37, 36, Angels. Another very important example of significant numbers in the 15 end-time chapters is the appearance of 36 angels, not counting the many unnamed angels in Michael's army or demons in Satan's army. St. John chooses the number 36 in order to precisely verify the ROC arrangement, St. John's cryptogram, which divides these chapters into 36 subdivisions. The 36 angels are separated into 9 individual groupings, which in turn serve to substantiate the 9 passages on the ROC chart, St. John's cryptogram, which follow the 4 horsemen. Thus there are 7 trumpet angels, 7 bowl angels, and 3 groups of 4 angels, 4 Euphrates angels, 4 wind angels, and 4 herald angels. In addition, there are 3 groups of 3 angels each, 3 sun angels in B2, B4, and P9, 3 altar angels in B7, P2, and P9, and 3 heaven angels in R9, P6, and P9, and finally there is 1 angel in his own group, St. Michael. Once again, the author is telling us that we must break down his work into 36 sections, with 9 sections following each of the 4 horsemen if we are to comprehend his prophecies. St. John's numerology is not accidental. Many commentators believe there is one more angel, the one like the Son of Man, who sits on a cloud and reaps earth with a sharp sickle, P6. Since this personage takes orders from another angel, he cannot be Christ. Besides, he is described like the Son of Man, not the Lord himself. So the question is, why did St. John clearly indicate that this figure must be an angel, and yet obviously and purposely decline to describe him as an angel? Because, very simply, that would increase the number of identified angels to 37. Thus the author makes an emphatic point that he chooses 36 angels in 9 groupings deliberately in order to verify the unraveling of Revelation as it is presented on the ROC chart, St. John's cryptogram. The third coming of Christ. Most people are familiar with the second coming of Christ, although many confuse it with the not so well-known third coming of Christ. In the final 2 chapters of Revelation, St. John describes this third reign of Christ, also known as the parousia. These 3 advents of Christ, like so many other trinities in St. John's work, reflect the basic trinity of the universe around us, land, sea, and air. Jesus' first coming can very well be considered his water advent. From his conception in the watery womb of his mother Mary to his bloody crucifixion, Jesus was surrounded by a liquid milieu. As noted earlier, Jesus' first miracle turned water into wine, and his last miracle turned wine into his own blood. Between the 2 miracles, some of his most unforgettable signs were fluidic in nature: walking on water, calming the storm at sea, choosing fishermen as his disciples, conversing with the woman at the well, preaching from a boat to people on shore. He even cured a blind man with spittle and mud. Therefore, it's no surprise that Jesus' symbol is the fish. When he had to pay a tax, he instructed his apostles to catch a fish, and they found the coin in its mouth. He referred to his greatest sign, his resurrection, as the sign of Jonah. Every aspect of his execution was wet and bloody, from his sweating blood in the Garden of Gethsemane to his scourging and crowning of thorns, to the final lance in his side from which gushed blood and water. Jesus' second coming is his land advent, and is described briefly in section P5, when he stands on Mount Zion with the 144,000 raptured elect, who return with him to set up the millennial kingdom. It's apparent that his land return begins on a mountaintop, far from any sea or body of water. St. John provides few details of what this reign will be like, except that Jesus will rule with an iron rod, although perhaps not iron-willed enough, because Satan will once again be allowed to tempt mankind near the end of the 1,000 years, just before the final judgment. Many 20th century seers, who have been shown images of what life will be like on our planet after World War III and the chastising comet, describe a very barren, dry landscape. The third advent of Christ completes the trilogy of his kingdoms, which St. John calls a new heaven and a new earth, and which is definitely of an air or spiritual nature. There is specifically no sun, and this New Jerusalem cannot possibly be located on planet Earth. Jesus' third kingdom can only refer to paradise, or as St. Paul says, the third heaven, where he heard secret words which it is not granted to man to utter. Probably very few of us will attain to the second kingdom of Christ, the millennium, but we all can look forward to the New Jerusalem if only we continue our walk with the Lord. And at this point I would like to add a side note to my book. I did not discuss Jesus coming at the rapture. There are actually a total of 4 comings of our Lord. When does the future happen? When discussing St. John's book of Revelation and the end times, people invariably ask, when are these things going to happen? The apostles asked Jesus the same question, and he replied, of that day or hour no one knows, neither the angels nor the Son, but the Father only. Obviously, if you really need to know, you must ask the Father. Jesus said that it would come upon us suddenly. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour. But he also added that we should learn to read the signs. When you see all these things coming to pass, know that it is near, even at the door. Therefore we must not act like the 5 foolish virgins, or despise prophecy, if we wish to take care that no one leads us astray. One day, during the pontificate of Pope Leo XIII, he overheard a locution between God and the devil. God agreed to give Satan 100 years to mount a final attack against humanity. The Pope immediately composed a prayer to St. Michael, which used to be recited after all Catholic Masses, a requirement which our bishops in their wisdom have since abrogated. If the 100 years began in 1917 with the appearances of our Blessed Mother at Fatima and the Bolshevik Revolution, then the 100 years is up in 2017. This date coincides with the conclusion of the 5 months, centuries, since Martin Luther posted his 95 Theses. If the 7-year tribulation period precedes 2017 rather than after, and if World War III occurs before that, then we are certainly very close. Of course, there are a lot of ifs in that sentence, since we cannot, and should not live our lives based on ifs. The only true answer is be ready at all times. We know that the signs which Jesus gave us, wars, rumors of wars, earthquakes in diverse places, persecutions of the faithful, are already here. If we are unprepared, we will, like the 5 foolish virgins, lose out on the greatest banquet of all time, the marriage feast of the Lamb.